A big topic today in the open innovation arena is the evolution of open innovation tools. And specifically, there is a model that's probably been one of the first to have been launched by corporation, that is the accelerator model. And this model is currently under revision by many corporates. And I think that on this specific point, a very interesting use case is the one of Zurich Insurance. And I have the pleasure to have with me today Laura Fischmann, who is Senior Manager, Group Strategy and Innovation at Zurich Insurance. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Alberto.
So, Laura, you have been, again, Zurich Insurance has been mastering I wouldn't even know how to properly call it. Again, it started a few years ago. This concept is called Zurich Innovation Championship, if I'm not wrong. And again, you started mostly as an accelerator program with some interconnection with the entrepreneurship and the internal employees, and then down the way, this platform, let's call it that way, has evolved year over year into something different, to something more sophisticated. Again, has been evolving, as by the way, is the natural way of doing things while working in a very dynamic and everly changing arena like the one of open innovation. So I would like to, probably the first question is to introduce the story of Zurich Innovation Championship. When did you guys started with that? What was the original goals? And what has been the experience, particularly evolution year over year?
Thank you, Alberto. And I'm happy to share with you the story of innovation at Zurich Insurance, and in particular highlighting the Zurich Innovation Championship that we have been conducting over the last 5 years. So we started back in 2018 actually already, but we are now in the 5th edition of the Zurich Innovation Championship. So maybe before we dive deeper into the concept, let me share with you 2 phrases about Zurich Insurance. So we are a global active insurance. We're active in more than 200 countries worldwide, and we are literally insuring everything and everybody. And of course, looking back at innovation, we are a company that is existing for more than 100 years. Of course, we had to innovate ourselves always throughout the year. But the focus of today's discussion is really on what has happened ever since our department started to lead innovation as part of the group strategy division. So back in 2018, we thought about how can we actually ensure that with the broad mandate that we are covering as an insurance for our customers, but also in terms of products, how can we be on top and actually at the forefront of innovation and ensure that we have the best possible solutions that are out there in the market internally also. So we started to first of all look into who are the right partners for us and how can we build out our external innovation ecosystem, and this is where we started to go to the first innovation events, to make the first partnerships, and we also launched the first edition of the Zurich Innovation Championship. What are we doing at the Zurich Innovation Championship? So this is a yearly program that is starting every year in November, where we sit down together with our senior leaders in the multiple different countries to learn more about their strategic priorities and about their challenges and business needs. Based on those challenges and business needs, what we then identify as certain categories in which we are looking for startups that can help us to address existing challenges and needs that we have. Then once we completed this in-depth assessment and interviews with our senior managers globally, we then open up in January to the startup community worldwide and ask them to apply for our program and to submit their solutions within those challenges. Then what we do is that we team up together with the individual countries so that they can select based on their needs the startup that is addressing their individual needs in the best way. This is one element that has been added in throughout the years, this strong partnerships together with our country leaders. So this is
because let me just stop you here, because I think it's important for our audience to understand. I think one of the main specific characteristics of insurance company, particularly multinational insurance companies, is a sort of dichotomy between the group and the markets, substantially run by substantially independent companies. And so there is always these two levels that need to be put again. Obviously, the insurance companies are market driven, because again, that's where you definitely produce money. But still, there is a need of coordination at the center, and the need of coordination is a bit more difficult than in regular companies, definitely more centralized. And so, help us also our audience to understand these two levels, because it's pretty important, and they also help appreciate what you guys have been doing, because if not, it might be difficult.
Yes, this is a very, very good point, because insurances are set up to compare to other industries in a very particular way, so that we have every country where we are active. This is an own legal entity. They have their own P&L, their own CEOs, and we are set up in this decentral setup, so to say. And our innovation division is part of the group innovation, and we are working together with the countries to drive forward innovation locally. This is helping us to really make sure that the startups that we are sourcing, that they are targeted to what the businesses needs, or what the country's needs are, and we are acting as an enabler for this local innovation efforts to be driven forward.
And that we'll probably go back at the end, but maybe how do you manage, again, finding solution that obviously is a good fit for the needs that are coming from specific countries? At a certain point, there might be some solution might be also applied elsewhere. How's the process of cross-referencing, at least making synergies across the different markets?
Yeah, we solve that via our different innovation communities that we have internally. So we have forums for the different regions. So, for example, I'm also leading in the innovation community in EMEA. So here I'm organizing roundtables where we actually share those best practices, because many of the issues that we're addressing with startups, but also the needs, they are common to multiple countries. And in those roundtable discussions, we present, for example, that in business unit in Spain has solved a need together with a startup. Then via those forums, we get to know that potentially also the business unit in Mexico has a similar need. And in this way, we are sharing the knowledge via those forums, but we are also co-funding the scaling of certain solutions. So if we know that one country is already working successfully with this startup, we can then also help economically to scale this startup from one country to the other. So This is something that is very important for us.
No, it's important. It sounds obvious, but it's not easy given the structure of those kind of companies. And we've seen in many other insurance companies facing exactly the same problem. And also beyond the insurance market, again, I think a company like Sodexo that has a very, very decentralized and market-driven companies, they have the same issues, how they can balance innovation at the center with innovation in the different market. When the market has big pushes, the center, you are just acting your role as coordinator and potentially cross-reference synergies. But I stop the description of your Zurich Innovation Championship. So just to wrap it up, if I got it right and I was paying attention, the process starts every year around November. You collect the needs from the different business units. then you open in January of the new year, you open, you present the challenges to the different startup ecosystem, you onboard the application, and then you come back to March, that we think is the time when you organize your super days. Am I wrong?
Exactly. So this is the time when we organize the local super days. So each of the countries that are actually applying. So this is on a voluntary basis. Nobody has to be part of it. But we have every year we have a big interest from multiple countries and business units to be part of our program. We then do this matching between the startups that have applied and the needs that have been raised by the business units. And then the business units individually, they select their winning startups. And this is putting them ultimately also in the driver's seat for those initiatives. So what is an initiative? An initiative is, you can imagine it like a joint venture between a startup and a business unit, of course, without having the legal setup of a joint venture. But the idea is define together your joint value proposition. If you were a one company, 50% Zurich, 50% the startup, what would you do together? What would be your impact and what would be your business model? And this is what we call an initiative. And those initiatives of country and startup are then competing against other countries that have, based on their needs, selected their startups. And this is then narrowing down ultimately from a broad range of startups that have applied. So to give you a sense of magnitude, over the past 2 years, we had more than 3,300 startups worldwide applying to be part of our program. This brings it then down to, on average, 50 winning initiatives. And among
the ones that are coming out from the multiple super days. Exactly,
that coming out from the multiple local.
How many countries are typically involved? Just to do the math.
Yes, on average. Yes, on average we have around 30 countries involved.
30 countries. So substantially, is 1 or 2 per country. Substantially, are the ones that are being coming to the final. Substantially,
it is one per country.
One per country. Okay.
Yeah, one per country. And then these finals, they are being presented to our group executive board, and then the winners are being selected. So winners, this is usually between 10 to 15 startups that then enter our accelerator program, which is kicking off in May. What are we doing in this accelerator program? In this accelerator program, we are testing out these joint value propositions. We are testing them on 4 core elements. And this is the accelerator element that we have added actually in the 3rd year of our Zurich Innovation Championship. So it was an ongoing development. Of course, every year we learned more, we further developed the concept. And in the accelerator we are testing.
And the accelerator is managed centrally.
It is managed centrally.
By you guys, right? Okay.
Yes. And however, there is always a representative from the business unit as well as from the startup.
Yeah, because a joint venture, so technically speaking, should be both them, right?
Exactly. And then the first thing that we test is it desirable? Is this joint value proposition that we see, is it desirable for the customer? Or in the case that we are ourselves the customer, if you think about certain backend tech solutions, is it desirable for us? And does it do what it claims it does, right? This is the first very important element that we are testing. The second element that we are testing is the feasibility. So can we actually work together? Can we work from a legal, regulatory, technical perspective, also from an operational perspective? Can we work together, and does it work? The third element is it financially viable? So are we actually making money with this, saving money with it? And is it viable from a financial point of view? And then the fourth element is it scalable? So to your point that you raised before, Alberto, are we just between brackets solving a niche issue that is existing in one of our countries, or is this a problem that is more common to multiple different countries? And our mandate is clearly to focus on those problems that can be on those problems and those solutions that can be scaled from one country to the other. And this
am I right to? Sorry for disturbing you, but this is my role.
Yes.
Am I right to tell that the 4 parameter, the scalability, has been added down the way? Because I think
Exactly.
I remember from the original discussion was 3 pillars.
Yes,
It was the
exactly.
desirability, feasibility, and viability. I think that
Exactly.
is probably coming out of learning, coming also of the more growing maturity of the tool that is no longer interested to keep the different countries happy with their own solution, but trying also to scale something at group level.
Exactly. You're absolutely right, Alberto. So this is something that has been added later on. And then there's another element that I didn't mention yet. It has also been added across the years, which is that we teamed up also with our internal talent program, and we assigned to those initiatives some additional legs on the ground, which are our entrepreneurs and residents. So this is the best talent that we have within the firm that are supporting those initiatives. And this is
where this talent comes from?
We have an internal talent program. It's called Make the Difference. And
Make the difference. Yes. Okay.
Exactly.
When we launched it, Make the Difference?
It was launched many years ago. I wouldn't know the precise year, but it's already existing for more than 10 years.
But what I'm seeing from what you say, that also is evolving too, and now you're trying to do a certain way to match with this other initiative.
Exactly. And this is important for us also because it helps us to also spread the know-how and the knowledge globally, right? And to ensure that our workforce is also benefiting from this experience of being part of the accelerator, working with startups, and like this, we are upscaling the entire organization in a way. And ultimately, what is interesting is that this combination of having the startup, the business unit, plus an entrepreneur and resident working together, of course, together with us from the global team on one initiative is making those initiatives also truly global. You might have a business unit from one part of the world working with a startup from another part of the world with an entrepreneur and resident that is in a third angle of the world. Yeah. And this is really a very exciting combination that brings out well-tested propositions that we can then afterwards, when the pilot is successful. Right?
So the threesome is somewhat working, and actually the idea that you are a certain way you're breaking the country to country possible original probably match, because probably originally was mostly local matches. Now maybe the startup and the business unit might come from different countries. Then maybe also the internal entrepreneur and resident coming from a different country, maybe also from a different background, maybe different business. And so that creates even more an environment that is more probably prone to scale globally at a group level.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, and then what is happening is that we work together as part of the accelerator until the end of September, and the solutions that are successful in all the 4 dimensions, these are the ones that then are the winners that we do long-term partnerships with, and that we also adopt. What is important is that throughout the accelerator program, we have, of course, also certain state gauges where we actually look into how are those initiatives performing, and we are also stopping those ones that are not suitable for us in any of the dimensions. So this is something that we started to do more and more throughout the years, because it's of course important to ensure that those ones that are the right fit for us are then joining our demo day. This is our event with which we conclude the accelerator and where we present the results of those pilot projects. And then afterwards, it goes into business as usual.
So the demo day is 4 months thereafter. The accelerator program, we have 10, 15 projects on average entering. How many typically arrive to the demo day? All of them, a subset of them?
A subset of them. So when we started off with the program, also to come back to your question, how did we develop in the beginning? We tended to promote all of them. Last year, for example, we had 10 initiatives winning the championship, and 6 that were ultimately with us on stage at the end of September. What is also important to understand is the Zurich Innovation Championship, even if our focus for our accelerator program is the initiatives that are being scaled, that have the potential to be scaled globally, throughout the program, we also identify many local champions, we call them, that are not entering the accelerator, but that are being driven locally. And this is also a success of the program, because ultimately there might be certain initiatives that are not winning, are not entering the accelerator, but that help our businesses somewhere in the world, and then they just continue independently to work with these startups and to drive business impact for the firm.
Oh, that's a very good point. Actually, we have been noticing also working with also different programs in different companies. For example, we run a couple of entrepreneurship programs. Again, the goal is to identify some really forward-looking disruptive solutions from your own employees. But what it happens is that beyond the 2, 3, 4 of them that come up to the end of the process, there are some other projects that are not being passed through all the project, but actually are went directly into implementation, because they are maybe a bit more incremental, don't have they are not meeting all the criteria for being the holy grail, but still they have some value. It's actually even easier to be developed and deployed, and off they go. And so at the end, they are the one that are producing a bid in the short term, while the other probably are the one a bit more visionary, more revolutionary, with potential larger impact. But it's important to have these two-way process, because if not, you are maybe losing something down the way that is still valuable, despite it's not the one that you are really looking for. It might change the company for the better.
Yes. No, I agree on that. It's also something that we see within our program. Yes, maybe now to look a bit into the future. I mentioned it before. We are constantly evolving our program. What was key for us last year was really to focus on business impact, right? So to identify those problems, but also those needs that we had that are really moving the needle for us, and that are really, if we solve those, that really create business impact. So this was something that we have been focusing during the last year, even if we have done it already from the beginning, but really to ensure that also the business cases are convincing us for continued collaboration. And this is why as of next year, what we will do is to even more look for the largest problems and the best startups out there that can help us to address those problems. So to have a very problem-focused approach. So problems looking for solutions, and not vice versa. Yeah. And to not only have one entry window, because as you can imagine, our businesses, they have their needs throughout the year. So we will more move into a true venture client engine that is allowing us to work for our businesses and with our businesses throughout the year, and to also proactively look for startups that are out there in the market. So to not only look through the ones that submitted their interest in working with us via this one entry window, but throughout the year, we will, based on those problems that we have identified in really in-depth sessions, go out and look what is the best startup that is helping us to overcome it. Unless, of course, we have the solution already developed internally.
Yeah, makes sense. And actually, already my conversation with Joel, again, already told him that the word accelerator was substantially you have a venture client dressed as an accelerator. And I think start as an accelerator, but down the way definitely changes nature and moving more into venture client area. Obviously, having a single yearly window is a bit tight dress, and sometimes doesn't fit it all. And so that is why probably moving to a more flexible tool might be the right decision to take. That's something that is actually a trend that we're seeing. Again, traditional accelerator, most of the corporate are shutting them down or moving, evolving, or being embedded into the venture client. So this is a pretty typical trend. One question, again, you mentioned multiple times when we were discussing a couple of words. This is largest problem, scalable solution, impact, moving the needle. question for you is, this is similar trend that we are seeing here and there. And I have different ways of reading this shift. Let me tell you what I think, and then tell me what is probably your take on what I'm thinking, and what is probably the right perspective to understand what you guys have been doing on your side. Number one is we are past the era of marketing, making ourselves known outside in the market, inside in the company. I think people know that innovation is relevant. You no longer need to overly promote it. You no longer need to be politically correct, trying to, this country is not represented, speak one. No, we cannot bring just 6 solutions. There are 3 countries are not represented, so let's put 9. Again, this kind of political delicate touch probably is something today you can give it for granted. And again, it's becoming more business oriented, and people understand that everything is moved by business driven rather than being something that is gently managed. So that's maybe probably one line of interpretation. Another line of interpretation is that economic conditions are tough, and so there is less patience and tolerance inside large corporations to play with tools that actually they're looking for something that is producing results and producing significant impact. Again, if you're doing something that produces a few hundreds of EBITDA more, yes, it's fine, but it's not changing my life. You need to something that's really impactful. Of course, probably there is a combination of all of the above, trying to understand, again, different conditions required for different tools. The maturity of open innovation is no longer 2015, we are 2025 almost. And so again, it's probably time to also to have tools that are a bit more business oriented. So what is your take on this?
So from my perspective, it's really about balancing the individual efforts, right? So first of all, the need of focusing on what is critical and what is big enough to have impact. This is definitely, of course, connecting us back to the macroeconomic environment, but also to the fact that we need to prove that what we do is delivering value for the firm, right? And I think that this is definitely what we should do, right? Because everybody in an organization has its task to deliver impact, and so do we as an innovation team, right? So, but on the other side, you need to balance it also with being explorative and seeing what is happening out there. What are new solutions? What are new trends? How might they impact what we do today? So there's balancing between the different innovation horizons, if you want. So This is exactly the balance that we need to ensure to have, right? To be out there, and we call it our sonar, where we identify what are emerging trends, emerging technologies, and how might they become relevant for us. But on the other side, to have really a value proposition that we are presenting also to our businesses, because ultimately we are working together with the local innovators, as mentioned before, and we are supporting them. And this is and to make exactly this balanced triage. This is part of our mandate.
Yeah, no, I think it makes sense. But also, I believe now I think that 5-10 years ago, such an approach was not doable, because you didn't get the attention of the business, because people don't know what you're doing. You have no reputation. You have no track record. So substantially, you are still in a selling. Evangelizing mode internally, so you need to explain what you're doing. I think now for corporates that have a certain level of maturity and experience in running those tools, they can definitely evolve to a more sophisticated position. It'll be, on the one hand, more result business driven, but on the other hand, as you mentioned, they need to balance in different horizons. They need to balance the fact that you just need to produce value tomorrow, but also the day after tomorrow, potentially reshape the company in 2030. Is something that you need to balance. It's always a complicated balance to maintain, because, again, anything that has value in 5 to 8 years might be forgotten in 3 years from now. So it's not easy. So again, that's the point.
Yeah, and also if you think about scalability, right, it is it is easier for us to ultimately ensure that our innovative solutions are being scaled globally and adopted from one country to the other if you can really prove the business impact that you have created.
Yeah.
And with the trend of and also the need, right, to focus on core business, this is something that I see all across the ecosystem. You need to show that the innovations and the solutions that you are offering are actually supporting also the core business and what the main focus is also of the individual countries, right?
Yeah. To close this conversation, I will ask you just to, again, since a large part of our audience are your peers, or people that are doing open innovation management, working in open innovation in a company in different industries, but substantially since you are facing similar issues and similar problems, again, what are your top tips, recommendations you can give to your colleagues? What you have learned that I think it really works, and what you have learned that you know that you should really stay far from?
Yes, in terms of the core tips, I think one reason why our program is working well and why we get this business buy-in, how we call it, is that our individual businesses in the countries, they're in the driver's seat. They're part of selecting not only the problems or defining them, but also the solutions. This is one important element, which is really the wind in the back of our projects. The second one is to be focused on the type of problems that you're addressing, right? To focus on the ones that are relevant and that are having business impact. And the third one, also always in the angle of impact, you need to measure that, right? You need to be very clear on your objectives. You need to be very clear on the outcome, and then to share these success stories, especially when you have a global mandate. This is ultimately proving that what you're proposing is delivering value. And these are, I would say, my three tips that I would have in this space. Now the second question, what not to do. Yes, it's not to have all of this, right? Because ultimately, the fact of being known as an innovator and the fact of being out there and talking about innovation, what we used to call in the past the innovation theater, right? This is under strong. This concept is under strong headwinds at the moment, right?
Yeah.
And you really want to take a distance and not fall into that trap. Because ultimately, if you think about large organizations, everybody in the organization has a mandate, right? You have sales that need to sell. You have operations people that need to be efficient and to save money, right? And in my view, the closer you operate or the similar you operate to the rest of the firm as an innovation division, which is meaning proving that you're delivering impact, the easier it is to get people behind you and to get the needed support for your program.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I love the analogy of the wind in the back and the headwind that you're facing, particularly in those conditions where most corporates are subject to budget cuts and having a function that is so strategically important, but is not exactly, it's difficult to be measured in terms of value that you put on the ground, meaning you have a lot of value. I can put my hand on the fire that open innovation produce value. The problem is how to measure. And again, you're producing a lot of improvement to the culture of the company. You have a beneficial impact of branding. You have definitely are helping to reshape the strategy of the company. But 1, 2, and 3 are almost impossible to be measured in a concrete way. And everybody agree if there is nothing else to do. But when you are facing cuts and say, okay, this is important, but probably not so important because I don't see the material value attached to that. And so that's important for having the ability to measure, once what can be measured, and also to providing a proper fair assessment of all the other things that are so important, I believe. Even more important, probably, the concrete results that you're producing.
Yeah, if you think about it, it's like having you have your accounting, you have your financial part, and you have your non-financial part. For our initiatives, we have the financial business cases at the hand of our back, but of course we have also the non-financial accounting that is proving all the other additional benefits that we get out of those startup collaborations.
Yeah,
each specific.
Be specific and try to show the value that you are creating. Perfect. I think that is the perfect way for ending our conversation. Thank you so much, and congratulations again. Let's keep in touch to see how the Zurich Innovation Championship will evolve. I am pretty sure that in 1-2 years from now will be a totally different tool that is currently designed for what is currently designed today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Alberto. It was great speaking to you.